We're using your daughter's college fund for my son's wedding. Weddings are more important than education, Sister said, while Dad transferred $52,000 from the account I'd been filling since she was born. Mom added, besides, she doesn't really need college. My daughter was accepted to MIT. I didn't scream. I called my lawyer, then the bank. When they realized the account was actually, by the time my sister said, we're using your daughter's college fund for my son's wedding, my dad had already clicked confirm on the transfer screen. We were in the little glass office at the bank, all three of us crammed around the manager's computer like it was a family photo instead like a disaster. My sister, Megan, crossed one leg over the other and leaned back like she owned the place. My dad squinted at the monitor, his reading glasses sliding down his nose. On the screen, I saw the number. $52,000. Weddings are more important than education, Megan added, almost bored. People remember a wedding. No one remembers where you went to college. My mom, sitting in the corner with her purse in her lap, chimed in without looking at me. Besides, she doesn't really need college, Larry. She'll be fine. She's too smart anyway. Too smart. My daughter had gotten her acceptance email from MIT 3 days earlier. I still had the printout folded in my wallet behind my license. I watched my dad's finger click the mouse, saw the little spinning wheel. The transfer from MIA College Fund to Megan Wedding Savings. My throat went tight. My hands started to shake so hard I had to slide them under my thighs. I didn't scream. I didn't flip the desk or grab the mouse or lunge across the room. I stood up. I need to make a call, I said. My voice sounded weirdly calm, like it belonged to someone else. No one stopped me. They didn't even look worried. Why would they? In their heads, the money was already theirs. I'm Larry, 45, Boston, Massachusetts. I've been a taxi driver since my 20s. I know every one-way downtown, every shortcut to Logan, every pothole that never gets fixed. I'm also a single dad to one kid, Mia, 18, quiet, sharp as a razor. The kind of kid who reads physics textbooks for fun and apologizes when other people bump into her. Her mom left when Mia was 2, said she wasn't built for this. I picked up extra shifts, learned how to French braid from YouTube, and started putting money away. At first, it was whatever I had left from tips at the end of the week, sometimes $10, sometimes nothing. Then it was $50 a week, then $100. When ride apps came in and business got weird, I picked up nights to keep the contributions steady. I opened that college fund the week Mia turned 1. $25 to start. For 18 years I filled it. Birthdays, Christmas tips, airport cash, the crumpled 20s drunk businessman left wedged between the seats. Every time my parents or my sister needed just a little help, I still made sure something went into that account. My parents knew about it. So did Megan. They loved talking about how Mia will be the first college kid in the family. They'd brag to their friends about my genius daughter, then turn around and hand her a $10 Target gift card while shoving $200 sneakers at Megan's son, Dylan. Dylan is 23 now. Golden boy. Tall. Athletic. Big smile. Average everything else. My parents treat him like royalty because he's the first male grandchild and because he lives 5 minutes away and drops by for dinner every other day to raid their fridge. Meanwhile, Mia got used to hearing, sorry, honey, we already promised Dylan we'd help with his car payment. Or, we don't want to make the others feel bad by making a big deal about your grades. Be humble. And me? I helped. Constantly. When Megan and her husband were behind on their mortgage 3 winters ago, I pulled $3,500 out of my own emergency savings and wired it. When my parents' water heater died, I put $1,800 on my credit card. When Dylan flunked out of community college and needed a fresh start, I bought him tools so he could start a little handyman thing. He lost half of them in 2 months. On top of that, every first of the month, like clockwork, $600 went from my checking into my parents' account. Just until we get over this hump, my dad said 4 years ago. I kept telling myself it was family, that it would come back around, that when it was Mia's turn, they'd show up for her. I should have known better. 2 months before the bank incident, Megan called me while I was waiting in the taxi queue at Logan. Good news, she said. Dylan and Ashley picked a date. For what? I asked, already knowing. The wedding, seriously. She laughed. June next year. We're booking the waterfront venue. It's like 30 grand. But you only get married once, right? I whistled. That's a lot of money, Meg. It's a family event, she said. We'll all chip in. Mom and Dad are putting in 10. You've got Mia's college thing. You can help with a big chunk. Mia's college fund is for Mia, I said, automatic. She's applying to MIT. That's not cheap. Megan snorted. MIT. Larry, be serious. That's like movie stuff. She'll probably end up at state with everyone else. And even if she does get in, that's what loans are for. Dylan needs this now. That was the first time I said no. I'll throw in for the rehearsal dinner, I told her. Maybe 5, 6 grand max. But I'm not touching Mia's fund. It's not negotiable. She went quiet. Then I see. Wow, she said. Good to know where we stand. Your niece and nephew will remember this, you know. My daughter will too, I said. They've been punishing me for that ever since. Little digs at dinner. Comments about me hoarding money. Jokes about taxi drivers pretending they're rich. The monthly $600 suddenly felt less like help and more like tribute. Then Mia's MIT acceptance came in. We were in the kitchen. She opened her email on the old laptop with the cracked corner. Her hands were shaking as she read. Then she looked at me and whispered, I got in, Dad. I hugged her so tight she squeaked. We drove straight to my parents' house. I thought, stupidly, they'd be proud. My mom's first question, is that expensive? My dad, you sure she's not setting herself up for disappointment? Places like that are for rich kids. Megan just said, should have convinced her to go to community. Would have fixed the wedding budget. I laughed it off. I shouldn't have. Because a week later, my dad called and asked me to meet them at the bank to put Mia's future on solid footing. I thought maybe they'd decided to help after all. Instead, I walked straight into the moment my dad hit confirm on draining more than half of her future. I stepped out of that glass office and into the hallway. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. I dialed the only lawyer I know. His name's Vic. I drove him to the airport once during a snowstorm, and we got stuck in traffic for an hour. We talked the whole time. He gave me his card and said, if you ever need anything legal and don't want to get burned, call me. Friends and family rate for cab heroes. I'd never called. Until that day. He picked up on the second ring. Larry? Everything okay? No, I said. I think my parents just stole my kid's college fund. I gave him the fast version. The account. The transfer. The fact that I'd seen my dad click. Where are you right now? He asked. Still at the bank. Good. Go back to the office. Don't yell. Don't accuse. Ask to speak with the branch manager privately. Say you want to put the transfer on hold due to possible fraud. Use that word. Fraud. Then put me on speaker. My legs felt like they were made of rubber, but I went. Back in the office, Megan was scrolling her phone. My dad was making small talk with the manager. My mom was digging around in her purse like looking for a mint. Hey, I said, forcing my voice not to shake. Before you finalize anything, I want to talk to the manager. Alone. Megan rolled her eyes. Oh, here we go? Don't be dramatic, Larry. We already. I said. I repeated, looking at the manager. I need to talk to you. Alone. Maybe it was my face. Maybe it was the word fraud I'd already dropped at the desk. Whatever it was, the manager swallowed and nodded. My parents and Megan shuffled out, muttering. I put Vic on speaker. Hi, he said smoothly. This is attorney Vic Patel. Mr. Russo, that's me, believes an unauthorized transfer has been initiated from his daughter's educational account. We need that transfer frozen immediately and the account documentation pulled up. The manager's eyes went wide. Of course. Just a moment. He clicked a few times, then frowned. That account, he adjusted his glasses. This is a custodial 529 plan, sir. Owner, Larry Russo. Beneficiary, Mia Russo. I'm not seeing any co-owners. What about authorized users? Vic asked. The manager scrolled. We have Mr. Russo listed for online access and Mia as view only. That's it. I stared at him. Then how did my father just transfer $52,000? Oh, the manager said softly. That wasn't completed. It's a queued internal request. I assumed he trailed off. Assumed what? Vic's voice sharpened. That your father was acting on your behalf, the manager said. He came in last week with a limited power of attorney form. Said it was to help manage things because you drive long hours and aren't always reachable. My stomach dropped. The POA. I remembered now. After I got rear-ended by a drunk driver last year and was in the hospital overnight, my dad shoved a stack of papers at me just in case. I signed without reading. He said it was so he could help with bills if something happened to me. I thought it was for emergencies. Turned out, it was for stealing. Vic spoke again. Calm. Precise. That document is now revoked, he said. Effective immediately. Mr. Russo does not consent to any transfers out of that 529 account except to pay tuition directly to an educational institution or qualified expenses. You will freeze any pending transfers, flag his profile, and note that anyone claiming to act under that POA is unauthorized. I'll email you a revocation in writing within the hour. The manager nodded so fast his pen almost flew out of his hand. Yes, sir. I'm canceling the transfer right now. The funds will not leave the account. I'm very sorry, Mr. Russo. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. The money was still there. My parents just didn't know it yet. Next step, Vic said, his tone softening now that the immediate fire was out. Larry, you and I are going to clean house. Today, we sat in Vic's tiny office over a pizza place that smelled like garlic and burned cheese. I still had my taxi radio on low at my belt, the dispatcher's voice crackling occasionally. On the table between us were the POA my dad had tricked me into signing, statements from the college fund, statements from the checking account where my monthly $600 to my parents came from, papers from a family savings account my parents had asked me to co-own for vacation plans a few years ago. Vic read. I stared at my hands. Okay, he said finally. Here's the good news. Your dad got lazy. The POA is broad, but it can be revoked, and he didn't actually complete the transfer before we froze it. The 529 is safe. Legally, it's your asset, not his. He has zero claim. And the bad news? I asked. The bad news is they were absolutely planning to siphon this, he said. And they've already been dipping into other places. He turned one of the bank printouts toward me. A joint savings account. My name, my dad's name. Balance, $312.57. 6 months ago, it had $14,000 in it. Where did it go? I asked, even though I knew. He pointed at the transfers. Payments to Megan Wedding Savings. Cash withdrawals. Credit card payments in their names. They've been bleeding you dry, Larry. My cheeks burned. Embarrassment. Anger. A weird, numb sadness. I let them add me to that account to help them save, I said quietly. I thought, if my name was on it, they'd take it seriously. They said it made them feel secure. It made them feel like you were a walking ATM, Vic said. So, here's what we're going to do. For the next hour, we went step by step. I signed a POA revocation and we scanned and emailed it to the bank. I filled out forms to remove my dad as co-owner on anything tied to my name. We moved every cent from the joint savings into a brand new account in only my name. I logged into my banking app and canceled the automatic $600 transfer to my parents. We put a multi-factor lock on Mia's 529. The bank added a note. No third-party access. Written authorization from owner required. Staff must verify with security phrase. Last, we called the waterfront wedding venue. Megan had bragged they used my good credit to secure the booking. Turns out, they'd put the deposit on a card I'd opened with my dad years ago for emergencies. The manager at the venue recognized my name. Oh, Mr. Russo, we have a $10,000 deposit from your card on file. Not anymore. You don't, I said. That card was used without my authorization. I'm disputing the charge. Consider the booking canceled. Vic took over from there, speaking in that calm legal voice again. By the time he was done, the venue had agreed to release the date and process the dispute. I hung up. Somewhere, Megan's dream wedding just evaporated, and I still hadn't raised my voice once. The first text came before I even left Vic's office. From my dad. Where did the money go? The wedding account is showing a problem. Call me. Then my mom. Your father is panicking. The bank says the transfer didn't go through. Fix this. Then Megan. What did you do? They said the venue is canceled. Are you serious? I didn't reply. I went back to my car, sat in the driver's seat, and just sat. The city moved around me. Buses, bikers, honking. I stared at the MIT acceptance letter screenshot on my phone. I opened my banking app. The college fund balance glowed back at me. Still there. I drove a few quick fares to clear my head. A nurse to the night shift. A drunk couple arguing about whose turn it was to walk the dog. A student carrying a box of dorm stuff. I got home around midnight. Mia was at the kitchen table with her laptop, a mug of tea next to her, highlighter streaks on the printout of the MIT financial aid packet. Hey, Dad, she said. Did you know the student union has its own bowling alley? That's so weird. I looked at her messy bun, the pen tucked behind her ear, the tiny crease between her eyebrows when she concentrates. I almost lost this for her. Kiddo, I said, sitting down. We need to talk. Her eyes widened immediately. Am I not going to be able to go? I hated that that was her first fear. You're going, I said firmly. You're absolutely going. That's kind of what this is about. I told her the whole story. The bank, the transfer, the POA, Vic, the canceled wedding. Her face went from scared to confused to angry to sad. They tried to take my college money, she said quietly. Yeah, I said. They did. She looked at the fridge where my parents had taped a photo of Dylan in old varsity jacket. Then back at me. I don't want them at my graduation, she said. Okay, I said. And I don't care if Dylan's wedding is in a parking lot. A tiny smile tugged at my mouth. Okay. She reached over and took my hand. Her palm was warm. Mine was still shaking. Thank you for choosing me, she said. I swallowed hard. Always. The next morning, the real storm hit. 23 missed calls by 10 a.m. I ignored them. I drove my morning airport run, dropped a businessman who kept calling his assistant sweetheart, and a family with 2 screaming toddlers and 3 suitcases too many. When I pulled into my usual coffee spot to grab a breakfast sandwich, my phone started vibrating nonstop. Dad. I sighed and answered. Put it on speaker. Left it on the seat next to me. What did you do? He barked immediately. No hello. They're saying I can't access the account. The wedding money disappeared. The bank flagged me. Are you trying to get me arrested? You tried to steal from your granddaughter, I said. If anyone did that, it was you. He scoffed. Don't be dramatic. We just rearranged things. You've always been so sensitive. It's not stealing if it's family. Yeah, I said. About that. My mom's voice cut in. They were on speaker at their end, too. Larry, honey, think about Dylan, she said. The wedding is in 4 months. Deposits are due. We already promised people. We only took what made sense. Mia is smart. She can get scholarships. She can go anywhere. Dylan only gets one shot at this. She got into MIT. I said, that's her one shot. MIT, my dad repeated, like it was a dirty word. You think those people are going to accept her? She's a cabbie's kid from Boston. Stop living in a fantasy. Weddings are real. This is real life. There it was. They didn't just want the money. They didn't believe she belonged there at all. Listen, I said, and for the first time, my voice was perfectly steady. I'm going to say this once. You are off my accounts. All of you. The monthly transfers have stopped. The joint savings is closed. The wedding deposit is gone. Mia's fund is locked down. You don't get a cent more from me. Silence. Then an explosion. You ungrateful little. We raised you. We depended on that money. You're ruining your nephew's life over a number on a screen. I let them talk until they ran out of breath. Then I said the line I'd been building to all day. I'm not your backup bank, I said. And I'm not going to fund a family that doesn't consider my daughter part of it. My mom tried for the guilt grenade. So you're choosing her over us? I actually laughed. Yes, that's what being a parent is. I hung up. They called back. I blocked their numbers. They weren't done, obviously. When people like my parents lose control, they don't self-reflect. They campaign. By that evening, my Aunt Rosa texted. Your mom says you're canceling the wedding over a misunderstanding. What's going on? Then my Uncle Frank. Heard some wild story about you locking your folks out of their own money. Call me. I didn't answer right away. I didn't want to get sucked into their version. Then Dylan's fiancée, Ashley, messaged me on Facebook. I'm not taking sides, but I think you should know they told everyone you gambled away Mia's college fund and are blaming them. Also, they said Mia probably won't make it at MIT anyway. Something in me snapped at that. Not hot rage, just cold clarity. I wrote back. The money is there. They tried to move it to your wedding account behind my back. I stopped it. I won't apologize for that. You're welcome to ask the bank what name was on the account. 3 dots. Then, an hour later, my cousin Mark called. Okay, he said, skipping hello. I talked to Ashley. I talked to the bank. I'm a co-signer on the wedding account, remember? Your parents are lying through their teeth. I just wanted to hear your side anyway, but man, took them long enough to get caught, I said. I'm not going to your parents' house this Sunday, Mark said. If you and Mia want to come over instead, we're grilling. I bought that stupid MIT hoodie she wanted, but was too polite to ask for. I blinked hard. You didn't have to do that. I know, he said. I wanted to. The meltdown at my parents' house happened without me there. I heard about it later from too many people to count. Apparently, When the waterfront venue officially released the date and refunded nothing, Megan lost her mind. She screamed at my parents in their kitchen about depending on a taxi driver, about how she told them to drain the entire account before he noticed. My dad shouted back. My mom cried. Dylan, to his credit, said something like, "I didn't ask you to steal from Mia," and walked out. The guest list shrank overnight. A few cousins quietly slid into my messages saying they were suddenly busy that weekend. My parents blamed me for all of it, obviously. They tried one last time to fix it the old way, by showing up. It was a Tuesday evening. Mia and I were at the small round table in our kitchen, brochures spread out everywhere. Housing options, meal plans, used textbook sites. We were circling dorm choices with a red pen. The apartment smelled like the onions from the cheap stir-fry I'd just made. Someone knocked. Hard. Mia flinched. I knew that knock. I opened the door, but didn't step back to let them in. My parents stood in the hallway like they were posing for a picture. My dad in his old Bruins jacket, my mom with her lips pressed, so tight, they almost disappeared. "We're here to talk some sense into you," my dad said, trying to push past me. I didn't move. "There's nothing to talk about," I said. My mom glanced past me and spotted Mia at the table. "You're confusing her," she said, dragging her into adult issues. "She doesn't understand money." Mia stood up. She was shaking, but she came to the doorway anyway. "I understand you tried to take my college fund," she said quietly. "I understand you don't think I belong at MIT. My mom's mouth dropped open. "That's not. We were just reorganizing." My dad snapped. "Fine," he said. "You know what? Maybe we don't think you belong there. Maybe we think you're setting yourself up for failure. When you drop out, don't come crying to us." Mia didn't cry. She just nodded once. "Don't worry. I won't." Something in his face flickered then. Maybe he realized what he'd just said out loud. "Dad," I said, keeping my voice flat. "This is the last time I'm going to say this. You are not entitled to my money. You are not entitled to my kid's future. You don't get special treatment while insulting my daughter in my doorway." My mom tried the old line. "Family doesn't turn their back on each other, Larry. You turned your back on her the second you decided her education was optional," I said. "We're done." I stepped back just enough to close the door. They didn't try to wedge a foot in. They didn't beg. They just stood there until the latch clicked. On the other side, I heard my mom whisper, "He'll come around. He always does." For the first time in my life, she was wrong. Mia moved into her dorm in late August. We stuffed my cab with her whole life. Bedding, a lamp, 2 suitcases, a box of books, a bin of instant noodles. It was one of those Boston days where the air felt like soup. MIT was buzzing with carts, sweaty parents, way too cheerful RAs. We dragged her stuff up to the 4th floor. Her roommate's family was already gone, but they'd left a sticky note on the desk. "Welcome, Mia," smiley face, Jules. We made her bed, tucked her MIT acceptance letter inside the closet door, and taped a little photo strip of us by her desk. Mark showed up with his wife and kids and handed Mia an MIT hoodie. "You'll need this in, like, 2 weeks," he said. "This place goes from sauna to freezer fast." She pulled it on even though she was already sweating. We grabbed food from a truck by the river and watched the boats. There were 8 of us. Me, Mia, Mark's family, and one cab buddy who refused to miss this nerd castle moment. On my phone, 3 unread texts from my mom. "We heard move-in is today. We weren't invited. You'll regret this. Maybe, in another life, I'd have wanted the grandparent on the lawn photo." But looking at Mia's face, nervous, glowing, happy, I knew I didn't regret choosing her. On the drive back, it was just us, MIT shrinking in the rearview. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah," she said. "Scared. But good scared." "Do you think they'll ever apologize?" she asked. "I don't know," I said. "Maybe. Maybe not." She nodded. "Do they still get money from you?" "No," I said. "They don't." She let out a long breath. "Good." At a red light, I looked back at her. "You know that account?" I said. "The one they tried to steal? It's yours. Not just for tuition. For whatever comes next." I just drove the cab and filled it. She smiled. Best driver I ever had. The light turned green. The MIT sticker on the back window caught the sun as we pulled away. Back home, the chair at the end of our tiny table stayed empty. I didn't rush to fill it. That night, I slid the latest statement from her fund into a folder labeled MIA Future. I used to think my job was keeping everyone else afloat. Turns out, it's simpler. Protect my daughter. If my parents ever want back in, they'll know where to look. Not at a waterfront wedding bought with stolen money, but someday at a graduation where the kid they underestimated walks in an MIT stole. And the only name on the check that got her there is mine.